97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Well, good evening and welcome to WHAV 97.9 FM. This is the Open Mic Show. We normally hear 6 to 8 on Monday evenings. Bill Masek, the host of the show, is off this evening, and this is Bill Ellis filling in for Sweet William tonight. We're going to have some guests on the show. We're going to have a call-in guest coming up in the 6:15 time period, and that's going to be Richard Johnson. He's the curator for the New England Sports Museum located at the TD Bank North at what we call the Boston Garden, us older folks from the Boston area. And he will be here from 6:15 approximately up to 7 o'clock. And then after the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to have Sarah Blackstone and Melissa Seavey. They are both involved with the Haverhill Idol performances that will be taking place on March 31st. And then the Kidsfest, which will be taking place on May 5th at 11 to 4, and that will take place in downtown Haverhill. Taking a look at some of the news in the area, we have a new superintendent of schools, and she's inspired and humbled during her visit to Haverhill. By a vote of 5-2, Haverhill School Committee members chose Salem Assistant Superintendent Margaret Murata Smith to succeed James Scully as superintendent of the city's public schools. Murata Smith has been an assistant superintendent in Salem for the past 8 years, tasked with turning around the city's special education program. Well, a staple for decades, which was located on Merrimack Street, is coming to a close on the 31st of March. Barrett's of Merrimack Street, named patronized for decades, will disappear from downtown at the end of the month. For the last 22 years, Barrett's Specialty Foods occupied part of the downtown storefront that had been there for decades, was the home of the Barrett's Menswear. But owner Melinda Barrett said family and other considerations compel her to close March 31st. She said, "My family is a huge consideration. I'm the youngest of 4. My mother is ill. It just seemed time to move on," she said. And Barrett's will sorely be missed, located on Merrimack Street. On a tough note, or a sad note, or an evil note, you could say, 4 Haverhill residents arraigned on fentanyl trafficking charges. There were 4 Haverhill residents were arraigned on fentanyl trafficking charges Monday, 3 days after police seized 3.7 kilograms of the drug from their Winter Street home. The drug sweep was a joint effort by Haverhill Police, state police assigned to the Attorney General's office, and the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency. This drug is destroying lives and plaguing our communities, so we must be doing all that we can do to hold the traffickers responsible, Police Chief Alan DeNiro said Monday. They were arrested Friday night by Officer Brian Bailey, and with hats off to him. You know, it's funny, well, not funny, it's sad. In court on Monday, 2 of the suspects, a fellow last name Diaz, another one Santana, were charged with additional counts of trafficking relating to 6 prior alleged fentanyl sales that occurred between December and March 2018. Not a good thing, but brings me to the story about Donald Trump that came out about a week ago, that he was looking to possibly issue a death penalty for those that are involved. You know, because how many lives are going to be affected and how many kids are going to lose their lives because of these drugs that are being disseminated by these evil vermin that are walking our streets and filling these kids full of terrible, terrible drugs. And it's a sad, sad scenario. But hopefully we can get through it, and hopefully things will get a little better, as each day you seem to hear a news story in the newspaper about a young person that loses their life to opioid and drug addiction problems. Well, you could reach us here at 978-374-1900. You can view us on HC Media Channel 22. We're also on WHAV Facebook. Also, go online to WHAV.net and WHAV.tv, and you can catch the Open Mic Show. We're going to have in the last half hour of the show tonight, in the 7:30 half hour, we're going to be giving away a cake, and the cake is from Albie's D's, a second-generation Italian bakery. They're located at 140 South Main Street in Haverhill. How do you have a chance to get the cake? Well, if you call in tonight, and we've got some names that have been building up since the beginning of the month, and the birthday or anniversary that takes place in April, give us a call. We'll put the name in the hat, and it's literally in a nice Stetson cowboy hat sitting in the production room with Chris, and then we'll be pulling out the name of the winner, and they'll get a nice cake from Albie D's second-generation Italian bakery, and they're located at 140 South Main Street in Haverhill. So give us a call, 978-374-1900, if you're interested in the cake. If you have an anniversary or a bakery, doesn't have to be for you. It could be for a friend or family member. Wouldn't that be nice, a little something extra if they just happen to win? Also wanted to talk to you about the 60-minute interview last night with Stormy Daniels. If you don't know who Stormy Daniels is, she was a gal that was involved in a relationship about a decade ago with Donald Trump, and there's some problem with a document that he did not sign, supposedly stating that they gave her $130,000 just before the election, and basically said, here's $130,000, go away, and she said that she would never talk about it again. Well, what has come out now is she said, well, Donald Trump never signed it, so I don't think it's legit. So there's a little legal brouhaha going on with that. But you have to ask yourself the question, why at this time would she want to come forward and voluntarily want to give back the $130,000? Well, it's quite simple. This gal, she's currently on tour, and she's probably going to make, during this year, probably close to 4 times the amount of money of the $130,000. I saw her on Facebook the other day. She's performing in Fort Lauderdale, and they have one of these airplanes that flies overhead and advertising that it's getting stormy, and Stormy Daniels is appearing at some particular club down in that neck of the woods. Now, also, there's many people looking to take Donald Trump down, so I'm sure there's people behind the scenes that are more than willing to give her more than $135,000 to come forward and basically tell her tale of what transpired between him long before he had aspirations for being president and Stormy Daniels. They're all coming out of the woodwork, and if you had an affair with Donald Trump, please give us a call, and if it's legitimate, maybe we'll give you a free cake to LBD's. No, we're saving that for anniversaries and for birthdays. Well, make sure that you give us a call at 978-374-1900. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll be looking to talk to Richard Johnson, and Richard he's the curator for the Sports Museum located in Boston, and Richard has written about 22 books that I was reading online, and I think it would be nice as we can talk to him about the history of Fenway Park. I actually saw him over the weekend on New England Sports Channel, I think it was NECN, and they were talking about, interviewing him about Bobby Orr. It was the history of the Boston Bruins, and maybe we can touch base a little bit about the youngster from Parry Sound, Ontario, Canada, when Milt Schmidt and a couple of the agents went up to take a look at some hockey players up in Ontario, and not knowing who they were going to see Bobby Orr. They were going up to take a look at somebody else, and sure enough, they see this scrawny kid fast on his skates, and they decided that it would be best to sit down with Bobby Orr and see about signing him up for the Bruins, of which he did. And then we'll take a look at Bobby's career at the end of his career, when he went to the Chicago Blackhawks for, I think it was 21 games, and Bobby finished off his career there, sadly but true. And maybe we'll ask Richard Johnson. And you'll be here to call in also to talk to Richard about the Bruins, the Celtics, any Boston sports. And we'll be able to talk to him about Bobby Orr's, ending his career, and how his agent, Alan Eagleson, I believe it was, kind of put a little stopper on the career. Bobby, I guess, was expected to get a piece of the Boston Bruins, and his agent never relayed that to him. Thus, he ended up going to the Chicago Blackhawks. And And that's where he ended his career, sadly but true. You would have thought that he would have been able to have ended his career right here in Boston, but technically he did. He was 21 games out there, then he came back here, and they retired his shirt. Number 4 to the rafters, Bobby Orr. All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back after the break in about 2 minutes or so, and we'll be looking to speak with Richard Johnson, curator of the Sports Museum in Boston.
Open mic.
Bill Masek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system. This is 97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave.
Hi, Tom Bergeron here. I started at WHAV in 1972. And look, WHAV's still here, but it won't be if you don't help support it. Go to whav.net. Become a contributor. Keep us going.
Community Spotlight.
Haverhill's Career Resources Corporation is offering local veterans vocational training services and job placement assistance through the Boots to Briefcases program. Career counselors are available weekdays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. through June for veterans seeking employment. Services provided by CRC include resume and cover letter writing, mock interviewing, and job retention skills seminars. Interested veterans can contact Veteran Career Representative Patricia Getz at 978-374-9122, extension 210. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at whav.net or email news@whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Robin Fancher.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And this is the Open Mic Show with Bill Ellis filling in for Bill Masek this evening here in WHAV FM 97.9. And you can listen to us at whav.net, watch us WHAV TV. We're also on Channel 22 and the HC Media. And you can listen to us on 97.9 FM. And you can give us a call, 978-374-1900. On the line, we have a Worcester native. He is Richard Johnson. He is the curator of the Sports Museum since 1982 in Boston. Good evening, Richard. How are you tonight?
Bill, how are you?
I am excellent, sir. So tell me a little bit about yourself. You were a sports personality at Lawrence Academy and Bates College, and I understand your specialty was curling.
No, actually, when I was a little slimmer than I am now, I ran cross country and track, a lot slimmer actually, and so those are the sports, of course, I wanted to be baseball player, basketball player, and everything, but, you know, you find your niche when you go to a school like that because everyone has to participate in sports, and I was fortunate enough to find that, and it was great. I keep up with my teammates to this day. So, and that was 45 years ago. So, I was lucky to go to Lawrence, and then I was extremely lucky to get into Bates College. I would never get in there now, of course, with the SAT scores I had back then. But, you know, sometimes you get lucky.
Well, there's an old saying, I'd rather be lucky than good.
I subscribe to that daily.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about the Sports Museum. I've been there quite a few times myself, and it's tell our audience where it's located and the hours and so forth.
Yeah, we are located on the 5th and 6th floors of the TD Garden in Boston at North Station, and we're open each day from 10 to 5. I suggest that folks go to sportsmuseum.org to the website, and has all the information there. And We both do regular tours on the hour, and we also have special VIP tours where my associate curator, Brian, and I will take smaller groups for about an hour and a half and give them a very special tour. So, but it's probably the one museum in town where everyone that pays their admission gets a tour from a tour guide. So we're very proud of that, and I think it really sets us apart. Even though most of our audience could sort of do their own self-conducted tour, and because I think we're the one museum in town where members of our audience arrive with knowledge, well, sometimes equal to ours, but then also maybe sometimes about specific areas superior to ours. So we, even though we're there to give a tour, we also keep our eyes and ears open. And a number of the artifacts, a number of the things in the museum arrive via the visitors who come and say, gee, do you have X, Y, or Z? And I have this in my attic, or my grandfather or grandmother has this artifact. We'd love to share it with you. And so, it's really very much a hands-on experience. And above and beyond what we do for the visitors, we have a number of educational outreach programs that we're very proud of. We have an anti-bullying initiative called Boston versus Bullies, which we're very proud of, and then a junior high program where kids actually get a diploma, a program called Stand Strong. It's a 14-point program where kids accomplish 14 different tasks, which can include doing everything from spending an afternoon learning to surmount a climbing wall, to going to other museums like the Hall at Patriot Place and getting a lecture there and a lesson, listening to different speakers, outside speakers. So we do a lot above and beyond just the visit to the museum. We try to do things in the community for kids. So that's a little bit about what who we are. We're now 41 years old, Bill. We started in 1977, but it took us a full 10 years to open our first headquarters, which is a building on Soldiers Field Road opposite Channel 4 in Boston. And we've been around since then in various places. We were in Cambridge Side Galleria, and we've been at the Garden now for a good 21 years, and we've been very happy to be there. It's a great location for us.
The building across from Channel 4, was that the site of the old harness racing track?
It is the old harness racing track, the Brighton Driving Club, and so the trees planted around the building, the old oak trees, were on the perimeter of the track, and I've seen photographs of that piece of property right about the time of the track. I've never seen a picture of the track itself, but the stables apparently were where the WBZ studios are now. So interestingly enough, there was a harness track on the river, and there also was a horse track at the other end of the road, closer to downtown Boston. There was a place called Charles River Park, which is right where the development of that same name is now. You've probably driven by the buildings that say, if you lived here, you'd be home now. And that was the site of a track also. So horse racing of all kinds was very much more prevalent than it is now. Sadly, now it's almost disappeared completely. It's really heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. A gentleman that we both know, Bob Temple, who has written about thoroughbred harness and greyhound racing. And basically, you take a look at it. I think this is the last year for Suffolk Downs. They're racing either 6 or 8 years. There is harness racing in Plainville, Mass. at Plainridge Casino. And there's considerable amount of racing still in the state of Maine. They have Scarborough Downs and Bangor Raceway for harness racing, plus many county fairs up there, many agricultural fairs, which always is a nice take, little throwback in time. But I'm going to ask for a little throwback in time. Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox, the Fenway Park when it first opened up. Now, you're going to have to answer this question for me. Did it open up before Babe Ruth became popular? Was it just before he started his career?
Yeah, Fenway Park opened in 1912, April 20th, 1912, several days after the sinking of the Titanic. And it opened first with an exhibition game with the Red Sox playing Harvard. And then they opened against the New York Highlanders, which was the name that the Yankees had at that time. So they played the Yankees in their first game. And interestingly enough, Fenway Park opened to a championship year. The 1912 team won the franchise's second World Series title. And not too long after that, the Boston Garden opened in 1928-29, also with a championship with the Bruins Stanley Cup. So we've had good luck with stadiums opening and some closing, actually, because, of course, the last game at Foxborough Stadium was the Adam Vinatieri kicks in the snow to beat the Raiders game. And then, of course, they opened the new stadium, unfurling their first Super Bowl flag. So we've had a lot of luck with stadiums here.
But the Boston, Fenway Park, dating back as far as it has, how come, Richard, they never wanted to move that? I know there was speculation at one time. I think Eddie Andelman was looking to move Fenway Park out to where the Patriots currently play. I know when he had bought the racetrack at Foxborough Park, he had designs on possibly moving it there, and but that, of course, as we know, never happened. How come they never moved it?
Well, it's sort of a typical Boston story, isn't it? Politics, personalities, and power, the three Ps. I mean, the fact is that there was some talk, actually, earlier on when the Braves were about to move to Milwaukee. Lou Perini, the owner of the Braves, made one last-ditch effort to remain in Boston and play at Fenway Park with the Red Sox for about a year or so while he built a park near the junction of Route 128 and the Mass Pike in Newton, and it never happened. And so in terms of talk of moving the Red Sox out of town, I mean, there was talk about that more before the 1967 Impossible Dream season. That season really transformed the team and the ball club, and even though there was some talk after that, especially in the late 90s, by the John Harrington group and Gene Yackey's group, it never really came to pass, because by the time that came up, I don't think anybody wanted to endure the Foxborough traffic driving to the Red Sox. It's one thing to do it 8 times a year to see the Patriots, but to imagine enduring that traffic 81 times a year, I think would be beyond most people's patience. And the fact is that the Red Sox were doing very well attendance-wise in Boston, and there was never a consensus in terms of doing the move. Even when the previous owners wanted to do it, and now I think it's pretty much agreed that. I still call the guys now the new owners, even though it's been a good 15, 16 years since they took over. They have plowed, by conservative amounts, about $250 million back into the park. One thing about that ownership group is they've never taken a dime out of the team in terms of putting it in their pocket. They certainly will someday when they sell the team, but they've really been committed to making the ballpark not just a great home for the Red Sox, but making it a year-round facility. So they have football, Irish hurling, snowboard jumping. I mean, they've had everything in that park over the past 14, 15 years. And Winter Classic, college hockey. So I don't think we're going to see that. But again, I never saw a drawing of what they were proposing to build down at Foxborough, but again, I think traffic would have been the main obstacle to that happening.
When the Fenway Park opened up, how long was it after that Babe Ruth showed up?
Babe Ruth showed up on July 11th, 1914. He was traded by the AAA Baltimore Orioles. There used to be a team in the International League called the Baltimore Orioles. And it occurred because they had a third major league at the time was operating, a league called the Federal League. And the Federal League had a franchise in Baltimore, the Terrapins, and they were eating into the Orioles' profits. So they had to sell some of their players, and they sold their prize player, Babe Ruth, to the Red Sox. Again, he arrived at Fenway after taking an all-night train trip where apparently he didn't get much sleep, as you can imagine. He pitched that day against the Cleveland Indians, won, and the rest, as they say, is history. And a 19-year-old, a teenager, a skinny teenager, George Herman Ruth, arrived in Boston and actually very early on was signing his autographs, G.H. Ruth. And before he was through in Boston, he was signing them Babe Ruth.
Where'd the Babe name come from?
I think he was just named that probably at the orphanage he was at in Baltimore. And again, it's sort of interesting that it isn't too often that a guy who has a good relationship with both his parents, who are alive, sent him to an orphanage, and it's because he was hard to manage. He was just
incorrigible.
Incorrigible youth, yeah.
Yes.
And Brother Matthias, a legendary priest at the industrial school that he got sent to, was the one that set him straight.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about Babe Ruth. Going to take a short break, Richard, and we'll be right back in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Open mic.
Bill Masek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
It's 6:32.
For more in-depth coverage of the news, visit WHAV's website at whav.net.
Catch the wave.
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out, and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning, right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather.
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, mostly clear skies, low 23, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly sunny with a chance of isolated rain or freezing rain showers developing at night, high 48, low around 30. And the outlook for Wednesday, cloudy skies with a chance of scattered showers, high 46, low 36. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
978-374-1900. This is the Open Mic Show. Every Monday night from 6 to 8 here on WHAV FM 97.9. Bill Masek isn't in this evening. This is Bill Ellis filling in for him. And on the line we have Richard Johnson. He's the curator for the Sports Museum in Boston. I want to talk a little bit more about Babe Ruth before we switch to other subjects of Boston sports. Why did the Babe go to New York?
Boy, that's actually, you could devote a whole hour to that. My friend Glenn Stout has written a book about, a book called The Selling of the Babe, which goes into the whole story because it's really, for many years, it hasn't been told completely accurately. It was a very complex story because Ruth, once he discovered that he was likely to get paid more and be a better and a more, more of a star as an everyday player. The Red Sox wanted him to pitch and play outfield. He soured on the Red Sox after a while. In fact, there was even a time that he was skipping games, that he wasn't showing up. And the handwriting was on the wall. And in fact, at the time he was sold to the Yankees, public opinion in Boston, if you go back and crank through the microfilm and look at the papers, was pretty evenly divided as to, should they have sold him, should they have kept him, I myself compare it to sort of Elvis Presley. Should Elvis have stayed in Tupelo, or, was he going to end up going to Memphis and Nashville? Well, he ended up going to Memphis and Nashville, and that's the rest of the story. Could they have gotten more for him? Well, probably, but part of the story was that then Red Sox owner Harry Frazee was in a real dispute with American League President Dan Johnson. They hated each other, and Johnson basically made it clear to other owners in the American League that he didn't want them to deal with Frazee, to really, to be able to sort of restrict the movement of the Red Sox in terms of trades and transactions and things. And the only owner that stood up to Johnson, other than Frazee, was Jake Rupert with the Yankees. So, he had a ready partner there. Now, the story over the years has been told that Frazee was hard set financially, and he needed to sell Ruth to get money to finance his Broadway show. No, and that's absolutely false. Again, my friend and my often co-author Glenn Stout has, proven that conclusively, that that Frazee certainly had money in his pockets and did not need to sell Ruth for the money for any Broadway shows he's doing. Ruth basically made it known that, he really just didn't want to stay with the Red Sox. Interestingly enough, Ruth continued to make his off-season home in suburban Boston, even after he went to the Yankees. So this whole notion of there being a curse that somehow Ruth, that there was any animosity to Boston or anything is absolutely false. Ruth continued to live in Wayland at Home Run Farm. He would go to Bruins games while, he was here in the off season. He was a big sports fan. He belonged to the Pierre Marquette Knights of Columbus Lodge in South Boston. And in fact, they even advertised the lodge as being Babe Ruth's own lodge. So, it's a very complicated story. Again, I can't go into it all, or else I'd bore your listeners to tears, but they should go to the library or to Amazon and look up a book called The Selling of the Babe, and it goes through the whole story, and it's really quite an interesting tale.
It's interesting. I saw a photo a few years back, Babe Ruth wearing a cesta at a High Life fronton in Miami. And you could tell he's not well versed on it because his arm was all twisted sideways. And I've seen highlight played before, and I think it was quite interesting that Babe Ruth, I guess he would like to try it, and he must have tried a few shots and so forth with that. So Babe Ruth ended up moving to New York, and you wonder if he had stayed in Boston, would he have been as big a name in baseball as he turned out to be after he went to New York?
It's a good question. I mean, certainly they had the supporting cast in New York, and what never gets talked about, Bill, is that Prohibition had everything to do with the Yankees, because Jake Rupert was making a living with the Knickerbocker Brewery prior to Prohibition, and then when the breweries closed due to the changing of the law, he has to find another way to make a living. Now, Rupert's an interesting character. He was a 6-term congressman from New York before, he became prominent as a sports owner. He's a very savvy guy, although he's usually portrayed as sort of a bumbling immigrant who can barely speak English. Yeah, he had a slight German accent, but he was sharp as could be, and he built Yankee Stadium in a part of the Bronx that no one considered to be an appropriate place to build a ballpark. But, he's very smart. He saw that they had public transit, the subway was going there, and he built the park in a part of New York, which at the time was really sort of on the outskirts of things, and he knew he needed, and he already had an attraction for the park because, again, Ruth played his first 3 years at the Polo Grounds when the Yankees shared the Polo Grounds with the Giants, and then Rupert, assembled a supporting cast, and, the rest is history. I mean, if Ruth had stayed in Boston, could Frazee have continued to build a supporting cast around him? Well, possibly. Harry Frazee never gets credit for having built the 1918 team. That basically, other than Harry Hooper and one or two other players, that 18 championship team was a team that really was put together by Frazee. It was not well stocked by players from the previous three championships of the decade. So, he never gets credit for that. He also never gets credit for having been the main owner to go to Washington to plead with the powers that be to keep baseball being played during World War I. There was a very strong movement to stop Major League Baseball after the 1917 season out of respect to the troops fighting in Europe. And Frazee made a very good case in Washington for keeping Major League Baseball alive during World War I. And again, the team that were champions in the sport they played, really owe a lot to Frazee for that. So I don't think he's quite the villain that he's been portrayed to be. And that's basically because if you look at the facts, you look at history, you go into the depths of history, you learn that it's a more nuanced and complex story than has been presented.
Did Babe Ruth save baseball after the Black Sox scandal?
Oh, I don't think there's any question. My dad, who if he were alive now would be he'd be 103. He grew up in New Hampshire. Yes, he loved the Red Sox, but the Yankees were the team that every kid in his age group followed. So in 1927, my dad would have been 13, and the Yankees were all kids talked about. And interestingly enough, you look at the attendance of the American League during the years that Ruth played, and for many teams, especially teams in the lower division like, the St. Louis Browns and the Red Sox, the games, their home games against the Yankees oftentimes would represent half of the revenue the team would earn during the course of a season. That's a big deal. And so a lot of people came out to, yes, cheer for the Red Sox, but also just to see Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and company. I mean, that's when the circus came to town. That was a big deal. And so I'd say, yeah, Babe Ruth and certainly the Yankees of that era were the money team, and they did so much to elevate the sport, and were really good for the sport because they put it on page one.
It's interesting. I've been to Babe Ruth's gravesite in New York, and he died in 1948, and I was there maybe 10, 12 years ago. There are people that still leave mementos at his gravesite. Letters.
I went to Gate of Heaven too, the cemetery in suburban New York. I think it's in Westchester County.
Yeah.
And it's very touching because you'll see baseballs and caps and little dolls and trinkets and everything. It's like a religious shrine, and it's very special. And again, he was Santa Claus come to life. He was the real deal. He had time for people, especially children. He was a wild man off the field, but he really was a role model in terms of being a public person, in terms of, and doing it very sincerely and very openly. He loved being Babe Ruth, and no one was more heartbroken when he retired than he, because, of course, he'd been promised to be the manager of the Boston Braves, and Judge Fuchs, the owner of the team, sort of held that out to him as a lure for him to come back to Boston. It didn't happen. And Ruth was really not treated well by the game once he retired. I think that owners were afraid of his off-the-field antics and thought those might turn off, audiences. But, again, his teammates, opponents loved him. The public did. And he was probably, I'd say, you've got to put him on a list as probably one of the 2 or 3 most famous and beloved citizens in America of the 20th century. I don't think there's any question. In fact, he might even be at the top of the list.
Most definitely. Who is the name a Yankee that's buried closest to where Babe Ruth is buried?
Who's buried nearby? Lou Gehrig.
There's somebody I think a little closer to him. Billy Martin.
The other, Jacob Rupert.
Well, Billy Martin is right above his.
Oh, is he really? Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Billy Martin's gravestone is a bench, and it says on it, not the greatest Yankee, but the proudest, which I thought was very interesting. One more touch about New York, and then we're going to talk more about Boston sports. When you mentioned about the baseball park in the Bronx, I heard a story before about Walter O'Malley, how he became one of the most hated owners in America when he moved the Brooklyn Dodgers. And they had asked somebody one day, they said, if you died and went to hell, and the devil handed you a pistol with 2 bullets in it, and there were 3 people in front of you, there was Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, and Walter O'Malley, which 2 bullets would you use? Who would you spare? And the fellow looked at the guy asking the question. He says, is it possible I could use both bullets on O'Malley? so I thought that was an interesting story.
That's pretty funny. Well, the fact is that, and my friend Glenn Stout and I have written a book about the Dodgers, too, and the demographics of Brooklyn changed really dramatically after World War II. In fact, if you look at the attendance figures at Ebbets Field, at sort of towards the end, they had a great run during the 50s. I mean, they were almost always in the World Series against the Yankees, and their attendance just kept dropping. I mean, the fact is that, O'Malley, who was a foreclosure attorney during the Depression, boy, talk about a cold-hearted job. He knew where the money would be. The money was on the West Coast. He convinced his fellow National League owner, Horace Stoneham, to move the Giants, too. And, you look at the attendance, and what's very interesting is you look at the attendance for the Yankees in 1958, the year after the 2 National League teams moved. Now, you would think, there'd be some spillover, that some people just wanting to see Major League Baseball and mourning the loss of the other 2 teams would have gone to Yankee Stadium, even if they hated the Yankees. You want to see baseball. You even go to Yankee Stadium and root against the Yankees. Yankees attendance dropped slightly in the year after the other 2 teams moved to the West Coast. Isn't that weird? So really the demographics of New York City and Brooklyn especially were changing in the post-war period. And, of course, now Brooklyn is one of the most fashionable and one of the most hip places to live in the country, and it's come back completely and everything. But, during the 50s, there was a flight to Long Island and the suburbs. People were leaving the city. And even though the Dodgers, were holding their own, O'Malley knew it could go basically from, 10 to 20 in terms of the, the revenue by moving to the West Coast. And in a way, it's a tragedy. I mean, what probably should have happened was when the National League came back to New York, they probably should have gone to Brooklyn, but of course the Polo Grounds was available. They'd already torn down Ebbets Field, so there wasn't much they could do, I guess. And then of course when they built the new stadium, they built it where they had proposed building a stadium for the Dodgers before they moved to LA, which is basically where Shea Stadium is now. And O'Malley had turned down an offer from the power broker there in New York to Robert Moses to build a park outside of Brooklyn. He was not going to build a park in Queens. So there was that last stab of him trying to remain in Brooklyn before he moved to L.A., but it wasn't to be.
Interesting stuff. Let's get back to Boston. Yeah. The Boston Garden had a tremendous amount of character. I remember going there as a young man. Do you remember at the Bruins games, the Screamer? The guy that used to...
I don't remember the Screamer, but I can remember the old second balcony before they brought in their first version of luxury suites. And there were probably a few patrons up there that it could have been called that name. I mean, it was really just something to go there. in the late '60s when third balcony ticket cost $3. Now, $3 back then, was even a little more than it cost to go to a movie. But the fact that you were seeing Bobby Orr and Phyllis Esposito and company, it was like the MasterCard ads, priceless. And that's a building that had character squared, cubed. What a place.
The guy used to, when all of a sudden there'd be like a lull in the action or something, there'd be, when they would have a pause for the commercials, and they used to have that, the fellow used to be on the side and have that big light, and then the referee or linesman would take a look over at it. When the light came on, he knew it was time that they could drop the puck. But the fellow was up, he was up above. And I used to remember him all of a sudden, he's screaming, and it would wake the crowd up. And there was another fellow that used to sit, and he used to bang his hand against the rafters. And to the point where he had done it so much, you could see almost his hand imprint was still up there on the yellow, I'll never forget, it was a yellow surface, and you could almost see his hand imprint that was there. But always made it for an interesting game. I remember I went to a fight one time at Boston Garden and broke out into a hockey game. It was the Brewers were playing Minnesota. They dropped the puck and they dropped their gloves. I mean, it was, and by the time the game was to the end, they were looking up at me to see if I wanted to play. They didn't have anybody left, but it was.
That was the game that I believe set the NHL record for most combined penalty minutes. I'm almost sure of it, and. Bill, I'm guessing it was probably late 70s. But to me, what characterized that building, the two quantifiable qualities that were heat and noise, basically because the building wasn't air conditioned, you'd have playoff games in May where the Bruins would be in there playing, and it'd be like the 90 degrees outside. The building would be, like a sweat locker. And then the noise, if you were sitting on one of those seats where you had the metal platforms as the flooring, here where they had the air ducts, not heating or air conditioning, but just, the ventilation ducts, you could feel the building vibrating. I mean, it's really, it takes a lot these days to feel a vibration in the Garden, the new one. But the old one, God bless it. I mean, it was, you could feel the place shaking. And
well, I tell you, I was at a Celtics game one night, and about 7 o'clock, about a half hour before the game starts, all of a sudden this dust starts coming down from the rafters. And I said to my nephew, I said, what a heck of a time to start cleaning. I said, this is terrible. There was dust falling all over everybody. Well, the game went on and so forth, and we were driving home, and so we had the radio on. There was an earthquake. And the earthquake had rattled the Boston Garden, and it was centered up somewhere near by Plattsburgh, New York, and worked its way all the way down and made its way to the Boston Garden.
Well, you remember, you looked up at the ceiling of that place. It almost looked like there was stuff growing on it. I mean, it was it was as old school as it gets. And, of course, back in the days when they allowed smoking in the building, all that smoke deposited somehow, deposited some sort of residue on the ceiling and everything in the building. And of course, when they prohibited smoking, they made one provision, one exception. Only one guy was allowed to smoke in the building, and that was Red Auerbach, of course. But to me, that was the big change in the building, is when they stopped allowing smoking. Because it used to be, by the time you got to the fourth quarter of a basketball game or the third period of a hockey game, if you were sitting way upstairs, you'd be looking down at the action, and there would be a haze of smoke that you would look through. It was unbelievable.
Tremendous amount of character. Let's talk about two. We got a few more minutes left here. Let's talk about two of probably one of the most interesting characters and probably personalities that were totally the opposite of each other, Bobby Orr and Larry Bird. Larry Bird was a trash talker, but he could back it up. And then there was Bobby Orr, who came to us, a humble kid from Perry, Ontario, Canada. Shed a little light on how Bobby Orr ended up in Boston.
Well, back in, I believe it was 1962, Milt Schmidt, Harold Baldy Cotton and Ren Blair traveled up to Parry Sound, Ontario, or maybe it might have even been Oshawa, but they traveled up north to see two junior players. They got to the rink about half hour early, and before the junior game started, the junior A game started that they were there to see, they were watching the end of a squirt game, and they absolutely were transfixed. It was like someone wandering into the Cavern Club in Liverpool in 1959 or something and hearing the Beatles. They saw this little 12-year-old, kid, 13-year-old kid, skating circles around kids who were 2-3 years older than he was, and all they could do was go around asking who he was, talk to his parents. They forgot about the guys they had actually traveled up there to see, and concentrated on this young crew-cutted kid they saw. And then the agreement that ultimately was signed, I think he had to wait another year or two until he was 14. Back then, you signed something called a B form for the NHL, which basically meant you were going to play on a junior team affiliated with the NHL team. That's the first step of two steps. And for that, the Orff family received a used car, and then the Bruins agreed to put stucco on their house on Great North Road in Parry Sound, Ontario. Not a bad deal for the Bruins.
Now, they didn't have a draft back then?
No, I believe the draft started in '65, and it's very interesting. One of the Bruins' first draft choices, who they later traded the rights to, and of course this still hurts, is Ken Dryden.
They had an opportunity for Kenny Dryden?
Draftees. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's something. But the draft hadn't started yet, and back in the old days, kids would sign a B form when they were 14, and that would place them with a junior team that was affiliated with an NHL team. So the Bruins had the Oshawa Generals and the Niagara Falls Flyers were the two junior teams in Canada that would send players to the Bruins. So players like Derek Sanderson and Don Marcotte played in Niagara Falls, and Bobby Orr and Wayne Cashman played in Oshawa.
Interesting. I never thought Kenny Dryden would make it. He was too tall. When you put him beside Gump Worsley, Dryden.
Well, you know what helped his career, and this isn't to denigrate him at all, but when you have a defense corps that has Serge Savard, early on he had J.C. Tremblay, then he ended up having Larry Robinson. I mean, he basically had the best defense corps in NHL history playing in front of him, and he was awfully good himself. So a certain amount of it has to do with the team that they've formed around you. And, of course, he had that great playoff in 1971, which, of course, we don't want to talk about. But,
no.
And he loved playing at the Garden, too, because he played in the ECAC for Cornell against teams like BU and BC at the Garden and Harvard over the years. So he always had a very strong connection to Boston.
And he was unique, too, because he graduated from college. I think he's an attorney. And then he played in the NHL. Most of those guys, I don't think ever saw inside of a schoolroom past probably the 12th grade.
No, he was recruited for Cornell and played for the great teams that Coach Ned Harkness had assembled there. And I believe was on at least one NCAA championship team. And then, of course, the Bruins traded his rights, and the Canadians ended up with him. And the rest is history. Of course, you realize at that time period, the Bruins also had Bernie Perron as their property. I mean, there are a lot of great goalies coming through the Bruins organization, and certainly you could make an argument for Jerry Cheevers staying and Perron and Dryden going. I mean, Cheevers is in the Hall of Fame too, and was a great clutch performer for us. And
money goalie
Ed Johnston, who's very, very underrated, because again, he was sort of the leader of the team off the ice too. He was the senior presence and really, really quite a a character guy, and very good in his own right too.
Like Johnny Busick.
Absolutely.
Yes. Kenny Dryden, he had a problem against the Russians. I know whenever when he had played the Soviet team, he had a tough time, and probably one of the best goalies I've ever seen play, Vladimir Tretiak. He was phenomenal. Well, we're up in the 7 o'clock hour. Richard, I'd like to invite you back again for a future show. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Bruins. I mean, this being a sports town, a sports state, a little bit more about Larry Bird and all the other great stuff, and we'll probably be into the Red Sox season at that time. Would you love to be a guest back here again? Because I'd love to have you.
I would enjoy it very much, and hello to all our friends up in Haverhill. Come on down to visit us at the Sports Museum, and again, I'd love to be on the show again, Bill.
Sounds good. Richard, thank you very much, and have yourself a great day and a happy Easter.
Take care. Happy Easter, too.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Open mic!
Bill Masek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 7:01.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening in local news. The Haverhill Police Department swore in 8 new officers on Friday in one of the city's largest ever swearing-in ceremonies. A 9th new officer will be sworn in separately. The department has increased the number of budgeted officers to 105 this year, 6 more than last year, and 21 more than were on the force in 2010. Police say crime is dropping in the city. Homicide, rape, robbery, assault, burglary, larceny, motor vehicle theft, and arson collectively dropped 11.1% from 2015 to 2016 and 9.1% from 2016 to 2017. The first few months of 2018 show this trend continuing. Mayor James Fiorentini told WHAV that he's pleased to welcome Margaret Murata Smith as the new superintendent of schools upon James Scully's retirement in June. Murata Smith won the seat against 2 other opponents in a 5-2 vote at last Thursday's school committee meeting. Fiorentini said that the board was impressed with Murata Smith's references and past record as the assistant superintendent in Salem, especially her commitment to building relationships within her community. She knows all the students, and the students all know her, Fiorentini said. She's even been known to ride the school buses. The short-term priority for Murata Smith will be to address the school department's budget, a task she is said to have excelled at in her previous post. The long-term goal will be to bring overall improvements to the city's education department. Regarding the current superintendent, Fiorentini said, Jim Scully has done a lot for this city. He will be missed. Andover residents, get ready to make your voices heard at the polls. The annual town election is scheduled for this coming Tuesday with polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Voters will cast votes for 1 moderator, 2 selectmen, 2 school committee members, 1 member of the Greater Lawrence Regional Vocational Technical School District Committee, and 2 trustees of the Punchard Free School. Registrations for absentee ballots are accepted until noon on Monday. Ballots are available at the town clerk's office, 36 Bartlett Street. Precincts 1 and 3 will vote at the Senior Center on Whittier Court. Precincts 4, 5, and 6 will vote at the Wood Hill Middle School. Precincts 2, 7, 7A, 8, and 9 will vote at the Andover High School Fieldhouse on Shawsheen Road. The town clerk's office is available to answer voter registration questions by calling 978-623-8230.
Business Bulletin.
Methuen foodies take note. This week is Restaurant Week across the city. Backed by the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce, the 5th annual Methuen Restaurant Week runs through Saturday, March 31st, with specials and other deals at local eateries. This year, Casablanca Mexican Restaurant, Man Orchards, and George's Bakery are among the participants. Residents can visit merrimackvalleyeats.com/Methuen to learn which other restaurants are taking part in this year's program. Junior golfers, get ready for tee time. The PGA Junior League has partnered with several area courses to offer budding golfers the chance to play locally without having to be a member of the clubs. Bradford Country Club, Haverhill Golf and Country Club, and the Atkinson Resort and Country Club are among the Merrimack Valley clubs welcoming boys and girls aged 13 and under to hit the links with expert instruction from PGA and LPGA pros. As part of the program starting in May, kids can learn to golf and then compete in a two-person scramble format. Registration fees vary by location and include various types of golf swag. More information is available at pgajuniorleague.com. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at whav.net. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Kim Whiting.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. The U.S. and a number of EU nations have announced they're expelling Russian diplomats after the poisoning of a former spy on British soil. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission is set to investigate whether Facebook failed to protect users' privacy. And the leader of the UK's opposition Labour Party has apologized for pockets of anti-Semitism within his party.
Wave weather.
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, mostly clear skies, low 23, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly sunny with a chance of isolated rain or freezing rain showers developing at night, high 48, low around 30. And the outlook for Wednesday, cloudy skies with a chance of scattered showers, high 46, low 36. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
97.9 FM, WHAV. Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Well, good evening, everybody. Bill Basic isn't here this evening. Bill is actually taking singing lessons because he wants to be in the Haverhill Idol show. He thinks he sounds a little bit like Frank Sinatra, and I said, you probably would if I was drunk. but Bill is not here this evening. This is Bill Ellis filling in for him. This is the Open Mic Show, 6 to 8 every Monday night here on WHAV FM 97.9. Also on WHAV.net and WHAV.tv. You can also catch us on the Facebook WHAV website. Also on HC Media, Channel 22. Jesus, we got a lot of places that we go out to. And we're soon to be going out to Moscow for our friend Vladimir Putin, so he can have an opportunity to listen to the show, too. Yeah, he's an
avid listener?
He is an avid listener. We have a translator that helps us out. Also want to remind you, in the last half hour of the show, we're going to be giving away a cake, compliments of LBD's second-generation Italian bakery, located at 140 South Main Street in Haverhill. Now, you have to call in at 978-374-1900 if you have a birthday or an anniversary, whether it be yourself or a friend or a family member. Just call us in, give us the name, and then we'll be drawing the name, and you'll have an opportunity of winning a cake. And wouldn't it be nice if you won a cake for somebody, they think you were extra special because you brought them a cake from LBD's second-generation Italian bakery. We have two guests tonight. We have Sarah Blackstone with us and Melissa Seavey, and we're going to be talking about the Haverhill Idol show and also the show for the Kidsfest, which will be located on Saturday, May 5th from 11 to 4 in downtown Haverhill. First, I want to reach out to Sarah. Sarah, tell me a little bit about this Haverhill Idol show and who is the future stars that we've seen in the past.
So, yeah, thanks, Bill. I'd be happy to talk about Haverhill Idol. So Haverhill Idol is coming up actually this weekend. The first week of auditions is Saturday, March 31st. And we have about we usually get about 40 kids that participate, but this year I really want to exceed that number. And yeah, we have 3 awesome judges that are hosting it, are volunteering to be judges for this year, and so they are Paul Thompson, who is if I can go into a little bit about the judges,
Please
if that's
do.
fine. All right, great. So the first one is Paul Thompson, who goes by the artist name Gage, and he's been a local musician and producer out of Lawrence, and he's actually recording an album right now, and so he has a lot of experience with recording music. So I think that's really good, because this year we're actually going to probably have the winners of Haverhill Idol have a recorded video or have a recorded music on. So. And then we also have Jas Bianchi, who puts on the Northeast Youth Music and Arts Festival, which is like mainly for just local kids, and it also helps to raise funds to help music and arts in underserved communities. So, and last year, Northern Essex actually hosted that festival, which was awesome. Lots of local bands that showed up, and the winners for Haverhill Idol will actually be performing on stage, so I think that's another added bonus.
That is good.
Yeah, and then the last judge is Catherine Brown from 104.9, the North Shore Radio, and they're going to actually have the winners perform on their radio station. So I think that's so cool that we have these amazing judges this year that are willing to give back to the kids who are coming and performing, and so we're really excited.
That is great. You mentioned the first person, and he uses a different name.
Yeah.
The best thing I've ever heard of anything like that was when Prince changed his name to a symbol. Remember that with just the
yes,
guitar?
I do.
And I said, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He said with that. And then I think he reverted back, to his regular name. We've got somebody on the line that wants to talk to us about the birthday cake. And
Cool.
do I have to do my thing?
Do they want to know what flavor it is? I want to know what flavor it is.
What? Can you hear me out there, caller?
I can hear you just fine, yes.
How are you tonight? What's your first name?
Well, thanks. My name is Mark.
And Mark, whose birthday do you want to put their name in for the birthday cake?
I actually want to put in my parents' anniversary, which is coming up in
Aw,
April.
that's so sweet.
How many years?
52 in April.
52?
Yay.
Mark,
Yeah.
you're 53. How does that happen? I'm just kidding. That's tremendous. 52. To go that long is incredible. I was reading an article today that the average Australian couple, I think it was 12 or 14 years. And you wonder how people can stand the test of time. 52 years, God bless them. And then I was reading another article about a couple who were married for 65 years. And
Wow.
one of them was terribly ill, and the other one said, when she goes, I'm going to go. And they died within hours of each other.
Oh, wow.
You hear about these love stories, and it's absolutely, it's like a storybook. It's like something from a Hallmark channel. But so before you can get your name in or your parents' name, you have to sing a song. We're auditioning on the Haverhill Idol tonight. What's your favorite song?
Oh, that would be too scary. But
Too scary? I tell you what, I'll name a song. If you can sing it, I'll give you the cake. Can you sing the song If I Only Had a Brain? Remember from the Wizard of Oz?
Oh my gosh.
I think that's the greatest song. So you gave your information to Chris, the producer, and
actually, I did not, but I think they know how to reach me. I'll be happy to call back if I need to, or be back on hold.
that's great. All right, sir. We thank you very much for calling in, and we'll be picking out a winner probably between 7:45 and 8 o'clock. In fact, I'm going to ask one of these ladies to draw out the winning number tonight, or the winning name. We've got there are names in the hat. There's a cowboy hat in the other room that used to be used by Hoss Cartwright. Remember who Hoss Cartwright was?
From the Lauren Green and everything?
Yeah. Bonanza, that's right.
Bonanza, yeah.
And Melissa got it right. Remember his big hat and so forth? And he was a big guy. He was, I'll give you $1 if you can tell me what college he went to. So actually, was in Alpine, Texas. He went to Sul Ross University. There was a small museum there because it's a very small town, and they had his hat. Imagine that. So
that's not his hat?
Excuse me?
So that's not his hat in the other room?
No, that's not. No, that's it's his hat. Actually, this is John Wayne's hat. I was just making it up about about that. But thank you very much, and listen up, and hopefully it will be your parents. I mean, that anniversary is great, 52 years, and tell them the folks here at WHAV say congratulations for standing the test of time, and to love each other that long. That's a fantastic thing that we should all hope. All right, we're going to have to take a break, and then we'll be back with another call for a birthday here on WHAV FM 97.9.
Open mic!
Bill Masek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
Stay informed each day with local news, coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at whav.net.
Catch the wave!
Would it surprise you to know radio still reaches more than 90% of people in every age group every week? It's a fact. And 97.9 WHAV FM's target audience averages 92%. While other media are cutting back, area residents turn to WHAV for local news, information, and entertainment they cannot find elsewhere. Add what has been called the halo effect of public radio, and listeners find business messages more credible and trustworthy than other forms of advertising. For a no-obligation assessment about how WHAV can help your business reach more people than all other local media combined, call 978-374-1900 or visit whav.net.
Community Spotlight!
Northern Essex Community College invites Merrimack Valley children and teens to take part in the 20th anniversary session of the school's College for Kids program, which will merge this year with the NECC STEM Academy. For 4 weeks, starting in July, students in grades 2 through 10 can learn and explore all things science, technology, engineering, and math, in addition to the College for Kids mainstay physical activity and arts program. To register or for more information, contact Alicia at 978-556-3332. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at whav.net or email news at whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Robin Fancher.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Well, we're back here at WHAV FM 97.9. You can call us at 978-374-1900. We were talking off the air about marriage and what makes a successful marriage and what doesn't. And Melissa, you were telling me 23 years.
Yep.
God bless
years.
you.
Woohoo!
And what's the secret?
I don't know.
Well, keep that I don't know up for another 23 years, and you'll be going up against the couple that just, Mark, that just called for his folks 52 years married. God bless them. So we were talking to Sarah Blackstone. We were talking about Haverhill Idol. How long does this Haverhill Idol program been going on for?
So it's been going on longer than I've been doing it. I've took it over about 5 years ago. I was approached to either we were going to do it or there wasn't going to be a Haverhill Idol. So I decided that, well, why not keep it going? It's really, something that's really good for the kids of Haverhill, and we tend to really enjoy it. And a lot of the kids that end up winning or participate really go on to, develop doing music in their own lives. So actually one of the very talented musicians or singers, that won last year. She was also a judge, and she's going to school right now to do music. So I can't wait to see like what happens 10 years down the line.
That would be nice. You know what was interesting is I like going on the YouTube and you pull up different idols stuff from across the the world, and the gal that came out of Britain, England, the one that everybody looked at and said, "Oh yeah, right."
Oh, Adele?
No, not Adele. This is I can't think of her name. I'll Google it though. But
okay.
And she was fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and the look on everybody's faces when she started to sing, and you see that with a few other people also. And I was watching one. It was a Russian Idol show, and the girls singing, and the judges started looking at each other, and they said stop, and they asked if there was something enhancing her voice. And they said, don't play any music, just sing without the background. And she had the most beautiful voice. And they're all looking at each other and say, this is real. And you know what I find fascinating is, if they didn't have these shows, how much of this talent would be wasted, and we would never, ever know how
That's
talented.
so true. That's so true. And Haverhill is like, I swear, an incubator for arts and music. And though like not a lot of people may think of Haverhill like that, but I really think it is. And some of the kids that I just see doing Haverhill Idol are so incredibly talented. As young as 8 years old, kids that participate. And I really hope we get a lot more participation this year. And if anybody out there in the world wants to sign up and be a part of Haverhill Idol, you can go to haverhillcommunitytv.org to fill out an application. And yeah, I would love to see, like 100 kids perform this year. So
That would be great. Talking about kids, a Kidsfest is coming up on May 5th. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Melissa?
Well, Kidsfest is coming up on May 5th, and it's been going on longer than the Haverhill Idol has been going on. It was started nobody knows exactly how long ago it started, but there is the wonderful woman, Lori Chase, who really made it her own, and she passed it on to others, and somehow it ended up in my lap. But we're going to have a really great day of live music, face painting. We're going to have a kids' art show. There's going to be wrestling, performances, dancers.
Martial arts.
So
Yeah.
it's really a full day of activities for the family.
Did you ever think about combining the Idol show with the Kids Fest?
Oh, we do.
You do?
Yep. It
Wow,
actually
what a great
ends
idea.
kind
I
of,
wish I thought about it.
Yeah, it actually kind of, ends the festival with the big main stage. We have the junior and senior division both compete, and it's really nice. We actually bring back the last year's winners too to kind of sing one last time and kind of pass off the torch.
Now, how many stages do they go through in the Idol show?
That's a good question. So there are 2 audition days. So this year it's March 31st and April 14th. And so really when you apply, I'll book you an audition spot. So then you'll go and you'll perform, audition, which is basically you'll sing a cappella in front of our 3 fabulous judges, and we're all loving and supporting. And so we see a wide range of different performers, some that are better than others, and some that are, just starting out. And we really encourage those people to keep on trying, because I see people constantly coming in and getting better and better every year that they participate. And then once we finally decide on the last day who are the finalists going to be, then they do another round, which is at Kidsfest. And then the judges decide the day of. Each contestant performs and, their final song. And it's
That's
really
a good
exciting.
thing. We've got a couple of callers, a couple of birthday calls. Let's get the first one on the line. Well, good evening, and who's this tonight calling in for your birthday or anniversary for the month of April?
Hi, this is Beverly. I'm calling for my son, James.
And how old is James going to be?
23.
God bless him. Now, were you there when he was born?
I've been married 40 years.
Oh, congratulations.
When's your anniversary coming up? Because I want you to make sure that you partake in the anniversary cake that you'll be allowed to participate in with the drawing. What month is that going to be, Beverly?
August 4th.
Okay, so make sure you call in July, and that way there you'll have an opportunity to win the cake for August 4th. Where did you go on your honeymoon?
We had lobster, champagne, and shrimp in the backyard.
Oh, nice.
That's a nice thing. Kept it local, kept it at home.
Yes, we did.
Now, did your father approve of this young man when he first started courting you?
Nope.
He didn't. What did he dislike about him other than drinking and the cigar smoking?
He was in the service.
Didn't like an Army guy, but, well, it worked out, and I hope that your folks turned around after so many years and said, Beverly,
Oh, yes.
thank goodness you married a good one.
Yes, I did.
And that's good. And now, you have any other children other than James?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have 5.
Wow. God bless you.
Yeah, yeah.
5 children. Well, that's great.
I have a 35-year-old, a 32-year-old, 27-year-old, 23-year-old, and a 14.
Oh, wow.
14.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Johnny Carson wasn't hosting the Tonight Show that night, right?
No.
So a lot of the people probably don't know who Johnny Carson was, but he was the greatest talk show host in the
yes,
evenings.
I remember. My mother used to watch him.
Faithfully, him and Ed McMahon. Oh, they were great. Well, thank you very much, Beverly. James's name is in the hat, and hopefully you'll have an opportunity to win the cake. Sarah and Melissa are going to pull out the name between 7:45 and 8 o'clock, and hopefully we can give the cake to you. We get so many people that have entered, and I want to thank everybody for that. Thank you very much, Bev, and keep listening.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me? Oh, I didn't hear what she said.
I think she said thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I thought she was cursing at me, and I didn't understand. So, all right, we have another call coming in.
Oh,
And
fabulous.
another birthday call or anniversary call, and who's this?
I auditioned last Monday. I auditioned. I sang a song.
This
I was
is-
just wondering, is there any age requirements?
Jerry,
on
is there an age requirement?
So yeah, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I wish that we were open up for Haverhill Idol to have more adults in it. But unfortunately, right now we just have it from 2nd grade all the way to 12th grade. So
you know, I have some experience. I was on community auditions many years ago.
you were on Community Audition?
That was a
Oh,
show.
that's
That was
awesome.
a show based in Boston.
Yeah, I
And,
remember that.
Who was the host at that time, Jerry?
Yeah, I know it.
Was it Dave Maynard?
I sang a song. It was called "Without a Song," you know, from Porgy and Bess. But I got beat by 13 elderly ladies in funny costumes.
No way.
Yeah.
Community auditions. You remember the
costumes playing kazoos.
remember the song "Star of the Day"? Who will it be? Remember that was the song how they used to open it up.
Star of the day, who will it be?
Wow.
For today you will be seen.
Hey, you've got some good pipes,
Celebrate
man.
To be something like that.
Do you know this?
The day.
This is something maybe you should have for next year.
I think that would be
Haverhill
fabulous.
Senior Idol.
Oh.
Do you know any songs by Eddie Cantor, Jerry?
On WHAV, I sang a song last Monday that another fellow and I wrote, an Irish song called "The First Rose of Killarney."
And that was
It
a great song. I was here when you sang it.
Library Sunday, so
I was here when you sang it.
Yeah,
It had that nice Irish twang sound to it.
A little brogue, yeah.
Now, are you Irish, Jerry?
I sang about 22 years with a big band. Our competitor was Georgie Karamatopoulos. Yeah, he had a band too.
You sang in big band.
So I sang 22
I
years.
take it you weren't on the plane with Glenn Miller.
We sounded like Glenn Miller. In fact, no, I wasn't on the plane with Glenn Miller. No.
Did they ever find that plane?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
No.
Really, I don't
No.
think they did.
Sarah knows a lot. Sarah's just a kid,
Oh.
and I'm surprised she knows
All
about
those
Glenn Miller and what happened to him.
Yeah, all those musicians, and that was really terrible.
It was that
I
was
can-
sad
I
because
just love Glenn Miller music. And the key to it was that the music had a solo clarinetist, and that's how you would differentiate Glenn Miller from any other band, you know.
Well, he was Chattanooga Choo Choo, right?
If you ever put it on Alexa or YouTube or whatever, have them play Glenn Miller, the theme or something like that, and you'll hear that solo clarinetist is playing above everybody else. Boy, I'd love to. I'm going to try to make when the show is going to be on. Will the public be invited to it or what?
Yes, we invite you to come down to Kidsfest on Saturday, May 5th, and you can see all of our Haverhill Idol.
On community auditions, I didn't get beat by the hand balancing act. That was at least I came in second. And they told me to come back the following year because they wanted me to perform the following year, Gene Jones, but I didn't. I was too busy making money. I made more money singing 2 or 3 nights a week than I did as a chemist at the Lawrence Experiment Station. I'm telling you, the money was really good in those days. We were doing 3 gigs a week.
Oh, that's awesome. You should come down to Haverhill Idol and teach these kids a thing or two.
Sure, you could probably do that.
New England, too. We play Lake Winnipesaukee, the pier up in Old Orchard Beach. College, a lot of college dances, you know. We were busy. I was busy singing for 22 years.
Well, Jerry, I'm going to push these gals to have a Haverhill Senior Idol, and because there was a.
I don't think I can do it any longer, though. You know, I'm 90, and
you can do it, Jerry.
You gotta have a lot of practice, you know, and.
Well, Jerry, you got a whole year to practice, because we'll have it next year. There was a movie I saw a few years back about a singing group from Northampton, Mass. And it was called, I think, Forever Young or something to that effect. And it was all people, I think they were like in their 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Is that right?
And they were fantastic. I'll have to find out exactly what the name was. And you can actually probably get the video. And it was...
don't forget April. Throw my name in the hat there. April the 15th, I'll be 90.
Oh, nice.
Wow, isn't that nice? You're on tax day.
And I keep busy, you know. I was an environmental engineer with the DEP, and I keep very busy. People call me up, and I help them out on their environmental issues. Tim Coco used to call me the WHAV's environmental consultant.
That's
awesome.
Great. Now, Jerry, do you listen to us on the radio or?
I listen to you on the TV.
TV, that's tremendous. Well, thank you very much. Too bad you have to see me on the TV, but there's 2 lovely gals here with me tonight.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Lot better looking than Bill Masick. I mean, Bill's a nice guy, but Bill's day was about 40 years ago.
Would you say Bill was going to audition?
Bill was a musician years ago.
I know.
And he was also an agent also.
He's one of my closest friends, and he's a very good legislator. He really is. Yeah.
What I like about him is he's honest. I've tried to bribe him several times, and he doesn't go for it.
No, he's an attorney.
I know that. Well, that's why I thought he would be able to easily be bribed.
All right.
But Bill's a great guy. Jerry, thank you very much for listening and calling in this evening.
I enjoy the program. I listen every Monday night, and when the City Council in Methuen is performing is the word, on Mondays, I'll go on my computer and catch you there.
Well, Jerry, thank you again, and don't be a stranger. Keep calling.
And say hello to Tim for me, will you, please?
Will do, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, Jerry.
Talk to me a little bit more about Kidsfest. You said there was going to be a little change in the setup?
Yeah.
So Kidsfest has been all over the map. It's been downtown in Railroad Square, on the upper deck. Most recently, we've just sort of spread out, been a focus in Washington Square, and we shut down parts of Washington and Merrimack Street. But this year, we're moving it down to Merrimack Street. We really want to bring people's awareness of Pentucket Bank Plaza and the boardwalk. It's a beautiful, beautiful area of the city that a lot of people don't even know about yet. So in addition to being, out on the street with bouncy houses and fire trucks, we're also going to have a second stage that's right in Pentucket Bank Plaza and activities for the kids and families up on the boardwalk as well.
That's great. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back here with Sarah and Melissa. You can reach us at 978-374-1900 if you have any questions about Kidsfest or Haverhill Idol. You're listening to WHAV FM 97.9. This is Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Bill's not here this evening. This is Bill Ellis filling in.
Open mic!
Bill Masick and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
It's 7:35.
Those Boston stations don't always understand weather in the Merrimack Valley. Stay informed with Wave Weather every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day on Soft Gold WHAV.
How does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? This is a question you'll probably ask yourself when you follow another hilarious adventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve.
Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. on WHAV.
Wave weather!
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, mostly clear skies, low 23, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly sunny with a chance of isolated rain or freezing rain showers developing at night. High 48, low around 30. And the outlook for Wednesday, cloudy skies with a chance of scattered showers, high 46, low 36. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Catch the wave! WHAV! Open mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Is it
Well, good evening. A little conversation off of the air, and we're back again, and want to discuss about the Kidsfest. And Sarah's having a heck of a time. When she found out that she was on TV, she's put some makeup on. Get into natural beauty.
Oh, thank you. So are you, Bill.
Yeah, you need my glasses.
No.
So we're talking about Kidsfest, and wanted to find out, is there any road blockage at all going to be, to help with this Kidsfest taking place?
Yes, actually there will be. And we try to impact the community as little as possible, but will end up shutting the street down from White's Corner at 125 by Pentucket Bank Plaza in HC Media all the way down to Howe Street, which is where Haverhill Beef is. So we'll have those roads shut down, and the residences are going to be limited in their ability to get out. We're going to do plenty of notifications for folks to let them know that the street will be shut, but certainly if anybody has to get out for an emergency, the police will help.
No, that's a good thing. What are the hours, and is there a rain date also?
There is, actually. Thank you for asking. It's Sunday, May 6th. I like to keep them tight together because I feel like if you have to delay it a whole week, it's torture. But we have the event from 11 to 5, but the roads will actually close at 9 for getting ready, and they'll be closed until 6. So
How many people usually attend? Like last year, what would say the approximate?
Lots. Oh my
Thousands and
gosh.
thousands
It
of
is.
people.
I feel like every year it keeps growing too, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's a little weather dependent. The first year that actually you and I worked on it together, it was the most beautiful day, and we must have had at least like 8,000 people down there. It was just wall to wall. It was
Wow.
really fun.
Does it cost anything to get there? Yeah?
No, free and open to the public.
Wow.
We
Isn't that
welcome
amazing?
everyone to
amazing.
come down. We do have some vendors that have some games for like a small fee, but for the most part, it's just all, activities and crafts and performances that are all free.
And food.
And
food.
Yes, Maria's Family Restaurant will be down there. They do great kebabs. I'm a little sad because it's May 5th that my favorite Mexican restaurant, Casablanca, won't be able to join us. But Chubb's Fries and Fried Dough, if anybody wants fried dough, that's the place to get it. And we'll have other food vendors as well.
If somebody wants to partake, how do they go about?
All they have to do is check out our website. All the information's there, www.haverhillchamber.com. They can email me directly, melissa@haverhillchamber.com. Call the office, 978-373-5663. But we welcome participation from, all the local businesses and groups, and it's really just a community event. All's welcome.
And how many years has it been going on?
I don't know.
Not
I've
sure?
been trying to find out because we actually, last year I thought it was the 25th annual year for our Christmas stroll, but turns out that wasn't true. I was looking at old YouTube videos and there was all sorts of different information. If anybody knows how long the Christmas stroll or Kidsfest has been going on,
They'll win a
please-
cake.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah, so, but I would love to know. And I think it's really evolved as the city's evolved. I think like the Christmas stroll has evolved, and Kidsfest as well. I think Kidsfest has grown a lot, but like it said, it's been moved around, trying to find the right home for it. So
Do you advertise the Kids Fest in the schools at all?
we used to actually do the backpack flyer, but last year I think was the first year that we didn't do that. But we certainly try to promote it as much as we can through public service announcements, social media, advertising. So
Do you have a Facebook page?
yes, we do. It's Kidsfest.
You want to look at my screen here?
Yeah.
The Kids Fest?
Actually, I'm so glad. I can't say how the Kidsfest page is, but I am so happy that I'm looking at your page there because I do want to mention Haverhill Idol is, generously sponsored by Covanta. Some other sponsors for the event are Lowell 5, Haverhill Bank, Trinity, Pentucket Medical, Pentucket Bank, and then we have the Phoenix Rising UCC Church that's going to be sponsoring a bouncy house, and it's really the event is the hard work of a lot of local community businesses and people. It takes a lot to put the event on, and we're really lucky. HC Media is such a huge supporter of the event.
Thanks, yeah.
Now, will HC Media cover it at all?
Oh, yeah. Yep. We cover it every year, or we try to cover it every year. So, yeah, we'll be there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, when's the Idol shows start? You said the 31st is the first auditions.
Yep.
And then where does it go after the 31st?
So, the auditions after the 31st, we like to have those air within a week or two. We definitely air them before May 5th, which would be Kids Fest. So we make sure it goes out so that way everyone who's participated, they can rewatch their auditions, and we kind of use that also as a way to do a little advertisement for Kids Fest, like a build up to it. So.
And when is the final?
That's Kids Fest. So the finals
Kids Fest
are
is
the day of. Yeah.
And the judges vote, but you don't let the people vote.
I think crowd participation and their, them applauding and, giving their hoots and hollers, I think always helps.
Yeah.
I know, the judges tend to tell me that a lot of the things that kind of stand out to them is their charisma on stage. That's a big thing. So sometimes it's not even about, your skill, but it's like how you can, work a crowd and, really come off to people, kind of like makes you stand out more for what they kind of think as a idol winner. So
Susan Boyle. That's the
English
English singer. That just came to me.
Right.
It just came to me.
I remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were like, "Whoa, what's this lady doing?" And she had a voice of an angel.
She did very, very good voice. In fact, the person that she said that she idolized, I guess, if you want to say that. She ended up getting to sing with that woman.
Was it Celine Dion?
No, it was an English singer.
Oh, okay.
Sarah Brayton? No, Sarah.
Oh, it was a name that I had never heard before.
Okay.
But I guess she's very popular in England, and there
Okay.
was, a TV show, and they had the both of them on there, and it was impressive.
Yeah, I really think that, those type of events that help, local performers get a leg up, kind of help them spotlight, really helps them, succeed in other pathways. So I really hope that Haverhill Idol provides that, platform for kids.
Well, and Haverhill has their own idol. Not winner, but Liz Bills was in the top 60.
Yep. Yeah, she actually went out to, she was like one of the finalists and like performed in, I think it was Los Angeles or something like that. But yeah, Liz Bills is an incredibly talented artist. She's actually been a Haverhill Idol judge in the past. And I know that she's currently a teacher out of the Be Imagine Music Studio, which is a great studio for kids. And I think that she's just, her kids that come out of there are just crazy talented. I mean, Haverhill in general has 3 amazing music studios. I think, if I can say this on air, if I can say Be Imagine Music Studio, the Merrimack Valley Music and Arts with Latreia, very talented. DeAngelis, very talented. So yeah, Haverhill's just such a cool hub for music, and I'd love to get more kids involved and really spotlight them, because yeah, they're awesome.
Well, and actually, Be Imagine Music Studios, Ben Goldbaum is the owner of that, and he performed at Kidsfest maybe that can help us try to figure out how long it's been going on. But when he was a teenager, and some of the things that were nice that he was saying is that Kidsfest gives people the opportunity, young folks or kids, the opportunity to perform live, and it was kind of nice to see that he had participated into it. Now he's, bringing kids around to participate in it.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, right, kids don't really have much of a platform to sing. I mean, because most of the time people don't want to hear kids sing, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear these, more professional people, but kids need that start. They need that place where they can, get that experience. So, I think
and
that
confidence. And actually, last year before Kids Fest, I went to the Haverhill High Talent Show, and I loved it. There is so many talented kids. And I had an intern that was a senior at the time, and she had reached out to many. And I did get a couple, but there was one young man who did this great dance routine that was sort of like a through time hip hop type of thing.
Oh, with dance, yeah, I heard about that.
I would have loved for him to come.
So cool.
And there was another one who was a bit of a swooner, kind of, and I couldn't get him to perform either. But yeah, there's a ton of talent out there.
Yeah.
Could Jerry perform at this Haverhill High School?
Yeah, well, if Jerry wants to give me a call, I would definitely spotlight him.
That would be good. Jerry, give her a call at home. If a man answers, hang up.
Now that's an old movie.
Yeah.
Or is it a woman? A man answers.
Well, with caller ID nowadays, you can't get away with anything.
Nope.
No. I mean, I tried making prank phone calls the other day, and the person said, "Is this you, Bill?" So I couldn't get away with it
Do you
anymore.
ever make prank phone calls on the radio?
Did I?
Yeah,
I made
maybe.
prank phone calls years ago, long before they had caller ID. And
Awesome.
It was it was different. We were kids and we were bored and we didn't know how to sing. So we figured we might as well make prank phone calls, But anyways, that would be good though. We talk about Jerry if they could add a seniors category.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, there are quite a few. People who are not, within the age range for Haverhill Idol that want to participate. And unfortunately, I haven't been. I'm kind of a one-woman show putting on this Haverhill Idol right now. So it's a lot of work that goes into it. I have to do a lot of the advertising for it, to kind of build it up. I have to search for the judges. That's actually the most difficult thing is booking judges.
Bill
to
Masick and I would
participate.
love to be judges.
I will totally sign you guys up for next year if we do it.
We will definitely want to do
I would
it.
love that. I would love that. I definitely look for people who have that background in music and who can, also maybe give back a little bit to the kids and provide them with something else. So after they have this experience, they can like go into doing something on the radio or, recording a song or, just anything like that. Maybe giving them lessons.
Sometimes I'm good at picking out talent. There was one feller I met years ago. He sang, and I said, "Michael Jackson, give it up. You're not going anywhere." And he proved me to be a liar. But no, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's
We
great
make it a
to
lot of fun.
see a lot of these kids with a lot of talent, and it'd be nice. It's funny we mentioned Bill Masick. He was an agent, and he was very familiar with a lot of the talent that took place in the Boston market area. In fact, he had given me, or not given me, he talked to me about a record that he got, or tape. It was the old cassette tapes of a group coming out of Boston called Boston. He said, I gave it to him and said, "Why don't you listen to this?" And it was, of course, they were one of the best. To come out of there. I mean, there was them and the Aerosmith, and I think the Cars were from Boston also. That's when all of a sudden Boston started picking up on the music circuit. Well, I think we got to take a break, but is Chris in the other room? We have to take a short break, and then what we're going to do is give away
reveal
a
the
cake.
birthday, right?
You girls are going to be able to pick it out for a birthday anniversary cake, and that will be coming up here on WHAV FM 97.9 when we come back from this break.
Open mic.
Bill Masick and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at whav.net.
Try listening to WHAV in your car or anywhere on your mobile phone. For fast access, visit whav.net.
Catch the wave.
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with wave weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 974-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Well, this is the Open Mic Show, 6 to 8 every Monday night here on WHAV FM 97.9. Bill Masick, the regular host, is off this evening. He's practicing his voice skills. He wants to be on the Haverhill Idol. There's going to be a showdown between he and Jerry coming up sometime in the next year or so, hopefully.
It's going to be a heated...
That will take place. That would be heated, huh?
Yeah.
Like Perry Como and Frank Sinatra going head to head. Well, it's that time of night where we're going to give away the birthday/anniversary cake, and it's compliments of Albie's second-generation Italian bakery. They're located at 140 South Main Street in Haverhill. And Sarah is going to pick the hat, a name out of the hat that Melissa is holding. And a drum roll, please.
All right. It is Jerry. It is Jerry McCall.
Jerry McCall's
Is
birthday.
that our Jerry?
Was this rigged? Did Jerry call you girls ahead of time?
Maybe.
All right.
Just
so
kidding.
If I see you girls and you have cake frosting around your mouth, I'll know this was a scam. Well, Jerry, congratulations. going to be 90 years old, and he called earlier this evening.
April 15th.
Well,
Yeah,
Jerry, congratulations, April 15th. That's a date in infamy, as FDR once said. Congratulations, Jerry. Now, getting back to the Idol, you wanted to interject.
Yes, thank you so much for letting us come on the show tonight and to be able to, talk about Haverhill Idol, because I really do want to get so many kids, so much more kids to sign up. If anybody out there in the world knows kids, this isn't just for Haverhill kids. It's for, the whole region. So if you know any kids that want to sing and participate, you can go to haverhillcommunitytv.org and they can sign up right on there. You'll see the link for Haverhill Idol, and you can just click that, and you can either print out the application or you can fill it out right online. Super easy, and I'll call you with a day or two to book an appointment. Or
that would be great. Now, is there a deadline to sign up?
April 14th would really be the deadline. That's the last day of auditions. So sometimes we get walk-ins, which is absolutely fine. Though I would love to give the judges a bit of a heads up of who's coming for the other day. And I know sometimes kids get really nervous hearing other kids perform, so I always try to make sure I book it where there's a little bit of a gap in between, so that way no one really sees each other, because I know that's a tough thing. And we've had kids maybe cry a little bit on, but we perk them right up and tell them how good they to keep on participating. So
now, what's the age brackets again?
Yep, so that is for second grade all the way up to 12th grade. So up until the age of 18 or 19, really.
So you could have a second grader compete against a...
No, there's junior and senior.
Yep, so there's two different divisions. So there's... I want to make sure I say this right. So junior division is between the grades second grade to sixth grade. And then senior idol division is 7th to 12th.
So parents, if you have a talented child, it behooves you to make sure that you have them participate in Haverhill Idol.
Yeah.
Because I think it's good, and it'd be nice, like Shirley Temple's mother, I'm sure that she recognized some talent there, and she's singing the Good Ship Lollipop.
Yeah.
So that
Animal Crackers.
Was that another one?
That's another one too,
that
I
she
believe,
sang?
right? Yeah.
Well, I know Animal Crackers was a Marx Brothers movie, but she could have sang Animal. You're probably right.
Right? That's what I'm thinking
of.
What is it? Animal crackers in my soup. What lions and tigers loop-de-loop. No, I'm not a singer, so I'm sorry.
That was pretty good, though. I like that. You got to get Chris in the other room, because he's an aficionado for music also, and he's got a good singing voice. I hear him singing every once in a while. But,
fabulous. How old is he? Can he sign up for Haverhill Idol?
Yeah, Chris,
do it, Chris.
Chris looks like he can get through for high school. But no, that is great. You guys are doing it, guys. You folks are doing some really good stuff about people in the community.
So are you.
Actually, I don't live here.
Oh.
So, Bill ships me in, as part of my prison parole program that I'm on. But that's great, though. And I tell you, the Kidsfest, it's the first Saturday in May, which is synonymous with the Kentucky Derby. But you give these kids something. I'm sure they're not big horse racing fans like I am, but you give them an opportunity to get out, and there's a lot of activities for them, and it's free, which is key. So if you're out there and you can take the kids, and I mean, where else can you go for such entertainment at no cost?
I know, right?
No place.
I mean, think about competitive events that happen throughout the year in this New England area. I mean, there's Topsfield Fair. That's huge. But you have to pay. No, you don't have to pay. But, I mean, you have to pay like an arm and a leg just park, and then to get into the entrance, and then to go on all the rides.
You haven't found the hole in the fence yet, how to slide in?
No, if you know it, you better tell me.
Yes.
So I definitely want to say that Kids Fest is such a great event, and the ladies at the chamber, they do such a great job, putting it all together. Melissa single-handedly puts it all together, No.
Look at you.
Oh, well, you have an awesome group of committee. Yeah, but you are the workhorse behind it. So.
Well, that's a great thing. You both should be commended, because both things are great for the kids. And I'm hoping one day I'll be hearing a recording artist and Haverhill,
Right?
Massachusetts, started out on Haverhill Idol.
Hell yeah.
And
oh, sorry,
has-
can I
has
not
come-
say hell?
And you could be their agent and make millions of dollars on
Right?
top of the money that they make.
That's my whole plan for this.
Oh, you're another Simon Caldwell, or
I'm-
whatever. That's where he's making a ton of money with that. But no, that all folks have done some great work, and I
thank
look
you.
forward to a beautiful day on May 5th from 11 to 5 for the Kidsfest, and also hopefully you'll have a tremendous participation for the Haverhill Idol show. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Blackstone and Melissa Seavey doing great work to help out the folks here in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Thank you very much. We've come on the 8 o'clock hour. That means it's the end of this show. That's the Open Mic Show, 97.9 FM. Next week, you'll have Bill Masick back in the big seat. Everybody have a good night and keep smiling.
Open mic.
Join Bill Masick live on New Open Mic again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.